What if you could scan a space in minutes and turn it into a fully styled architectural drawing set the same day? From laser scan to complete drawing set, here's how to do it accurately, efficiently, and fully cloud-based. In this video, I'll show you how to go from a real-world space scan to a fully detailed architectural drawing set using iMapper and Rayon Design. First, we'll see how to capture a space with iMapper's fast and precise laser scanning workflow. Then, we'll export the scan as a DXF and transform it inside of Rayon into a clean, styled, presentation-ready drawing set, all just in a few steps. So let's get started. Let's start by reviewing iMapper's scanner. It's an affordable, fast and precise 2D laser scanner designed for remodeling professionals who need 100% reliable measurements with a lightweight process. iMapper captures floor plans in minutes, helping you measure every space with confidence and save hours on site. Set the iMapper on its tripod to the center of the room. Press one button and it will scan the entire space with plus or minus 2mm accuracy at a range of 30 meters in under 3 minutes. At the same time, the device captures 5 wide-angle reference photos to understand the space at 360 degrees. iMapper can take horizontal scans in just one tap, or by rotating it on its tripod, you can take vertical scans that allow you to measure ceiling heights, roof slopes, and stair angles. By combining them in your drawing software, you can create detailed 3D or 2D models. You can also control it via your phone using the iMapper Connect app. Use the built-in bubble level to ensure iMapper is level before measuring. And when the scan is done, it's uploaded straight to the cloud. No SD cards, no cables, no waiting. That means your files are instantly available to your team. Moreover, with a simple shareable link, anyone you choose can view the project wherever they are, so everyone in the project is in sync. Its algorithm automatically stitches the scans together for you, instantly generating an accurate 2D layout that's detailed enough to capture crooked angles and walls, door jambs, tile lines, window frames, and more. Every measurement point is linked to its original reference photo, so you'll always know exactly where it was taken. You can even use iMapper outdoors with a range of up to 25 meters. Measure room angles, distances between any points, wall thicknesses, and room areas, so you can create quick estimates and share measurements instantly with your team. With the automatic floor plan feature, you can accurately see wall thicknesses and easily place window openings and doors with a single click. Once your edits are complete, you can export them to your favorite drawing software. iMapper works seamlessly with drafting and design software thanks to supporting DWG, STL, and IFC files. So now you've got a glimpse of how iMapper works, let's export a scan measurement as a DXF and import it into Rayon Design to turn it into our full architectural drawing set in just 3 simple steps. So let's jump in. Let's start by importing the DXF file, scaling it properly and cleaning it up so we can work efficiently and create this professional document set. First, I'll import the DXF file generated by iMapper. We'll go to import and I'll find it in my downloads, which is a DXF file. So you can see here there are a number of toggles that I can turn off and on. I don't want to choose any of those, so I'll go to import. So this just takes a second to convert the model. So you can see here that since this comes through a 3D scan, the geometry is very accurate, but it does also include these redundant lines. So first thing we want to do is make sure that the scan is scaled correctly. So I'm going to choose 2 points, so these 2 main wall points here. That sees that as 10.29 meters, so that's fine. So we're coming in meters. So we'll come in and press continue. So now we know that this has been imported to scale, and that ensures that everything we draw, walls, openings, furniture, they'll all be precise. Now we can clean this up using the layer panel. So the one thing that I want to do is be able to separate out the very accurate, but obviously messy overlay layers into the more refined floor plan layers. So you can see here, I'm going to create a new group and I'm going to call that import. And I'm going to drag all of these layers that aren't the one that say floor plans into that import subfolder. So then I just have those 2 folders, so floor plan and import. I'll select that as my active layer and I will turn off my import layer. And what I'm left with is that cleaned up floor plan. So that's with all of those input data being rationalized by iMapper and turned into this 2D drawn information. So that gives us this clean working environment whilst also keeping the original data intact. Now that our plan is scaled and cleaned up, we can set the foundations. There are two ways that I would approach this, and you can choose the one that best fits your workflow. Okay, so option one is to simply work with these vector lines, the ones that have been imported. We know that they're accurate and flexible, but we can also edit them to show them how exactly we want the drawing to appear. We can also delete or refine the line styles to improve the aesthetic quality, say. So at the moment, if we click on one, we have a current line thickness. So I could decide that my external wall wants to be thicker. So I can go in there, I can increase the thickness of that line, and I could say that is my external wall style, for example. And then I could tab all of these, click on there, and then everything becomes thicker. I could also start cleaning out some other elements. So for example, we could say actually the lines between the windows that show the voids, they want to be something lighter, like so, and then I could just add in some lighter lines that show the windowsill below. Similarly, I could start filling if I wanted to, so just using the bucket tool, which exists down here. So we go to bucket, and again I could set a style, so I could say actually this is wall fill, and I could say that it wants to be a sort of mid-grey colour, and that means that any of those that I chose would have that same fill, and that very quickly starts to show the drawing very clearly. Similarly, I can do exactly the same for the internal, so I could use the bucket tool again, and I could say the internal areas have a tone, and that could be something different. It could be a hatch, it could be a pattern, so for example we could say it's a very light crosshatch. We can change the scale of that to say 0.35, for example, and again I can save that as a style. So any of these fills, I can just hatch that through, and that's a very basic floor plan. Now that's fine. That's a fast workflow for an initial design phase or a feasibility. But option two would be to redraw the wall elements with rayon walls, which are inherently smarter and more flexible. That's the way I'd suggest you went. So what I want to do now is create a new layer, and we'll call this existing, for example. I can lock this layer, and now I want to go in and just measure 0.37. So I can set up a rayon wall that is 0.37. That's something nice and bright so I can see it. I'll save that as external wall, for example, and then I can start drawing. And this is very quickly just tracing these elements like that, and then I can do the same for the internal walls as well very quickly. So you can see there I can turn off my original, and now I have all of those as smart rayon walls. And then we can go in and we can add doors, windows, all of those different elements which we found in the block library. So the block library is over here. We have all of our pre-built blocks. If I want to add a window or a door, I can go to opening, and I can select what I want, so a window or a door, select that, and then I can very quickly start putting these into the wall, and I can even go in and adjust them afterwards as well. So I could turn on my floor plan, and then I can adjust these, snap those to those openings, make sure everything's nice and accurate. But it just allows you to be a lot quicker and smarter with your workflow. I would just really recommend it to future-proof your work and be able to use this as a workflow moving forward. Now let's take this plan from the simple enclosure into something that's fully populated. So we can use things from the block library, so our furniture, symbols, trees, people. The really great thing is that they're all available in front, side and top view, so they're relevant for my plans, my sections and my elevations. And you can see here we have a variety of anything you would want, a guitar, a bed, an armchair, an elevation marker, and they come in this library of all these different subfolders. So things from, bedrooms, commercial, electrical symbols, gyms, anything I would want. For example, if I wanted to put some living room layouts in, I just very easily drag and drop that into the space. And the really good thing about these is if I go to open, just on this left hand side, I can see that front and side view which relates to my plan, which for me is perfect. I can do exactly the same thing. Say I wanted to find a bed, for example, I could just search for bed, find that in the individual blocks, and again I can say maybe this one looks good, so I can drag and drop that, put that in the space, and just as before, if I wanted to include that front or side view, I've got those here as well, and I know that they match that plan view. The other great thing is that Rayon have introduced parametric blocks. So let's take a door, for example. So I can go to my opening and I can choose a different block here. And let's find a door. So anything with this little symbol here where it says parametric, that means it can be swapped and changed in terms of its dimensions while still retaining its overall geometry. So let's find a door. Here we go, up here. We'll press select, and that means that I can load this in. So let's add a door onto our living room. I can choose the direction swing of the door, and you can see here that where I have these arrows, I can stretch this without affecting or stretching the geometry. Everything stays locked in that. I can also, increase the jam width if I wanted to. So it plays perfectly into getting this very accurate door position based on our iMapper survey. And that works exactly the same way as if it was, let's say a sliding door, for example. So we can select that here, and I can say there's a sliding door to here. And again, if we just zoom in, you can see those arrows. So I can even determine how open or closed the sliding door appears on the plan, how big overall is, and if I need to increase the jam width at all. So they work really, really well. The other great thing is that I can now go in and start to think of the style of the plan, for example. So I'm just going to hide my floor plan behind, and I'm going to say, actually, this style, that was fine for when I was drawing it, but maybe this wants to be, a bit more aesthetically sort of considered. Exactly the same thing with this one. I could say maybe that wants to be the same color. Same with these. And you'll notice that anywhere which is saved as a style, I just change it in that style tab, and I don't need to go through and start affecting all the different things. It does all of that automatically. Now that our base plan and layout are ready, let's enhance it. Okay, I've just spent a little bit more time adding some furniture. You can see some of the trees in the background as well. So the next things I want to look at are, one, adding zones. So that will give you not only texture on the floor plans, but also an area. So if I go down to here to zones, I can very quickly click zones into these spaces, and they are reading the boundary of those rooms, and that gives me this overall area amount as well. So I can change the tag of this to give it a title. You can see there. And the other really good thing is that I can go in and I can change the style, so the visual style of that as well. So I could add in a hatch, let's say. I could add in a texture, maybe. So why don't we add in a wooden floor? Or in the bedrooms, we could add in a carpet. Make sure that these are all set to the back of our layer, so we get the furniture in front. And then maybe the 3 bathrooms, we add in a tile texture. We can go in, we can edit that texture as well. So, say those tiles are actually coming up too big, make those a bit smaller, and as long as I tab them through, everything matches. I can even say, oh, actually the tone of that timber's a bit much. So let's bring the exposure down and the saturation, make it a bit more muted. I can even go in and change the size of my tags. So you see there, I can just select those, pick a style, and make those match with the other. The other thing I can do is add dimensions. So again, to our layers, we'll just add an annotation layer, And then I can go to dimensions and I can pull these off my walls. And exactly the same as with all the other styles, I can change the size of these. I could say, actually they want to be a bright color, and I can change the size of the ends just like that. And I can even save that as a style. So I'll call that dimension A. And then any of these others, I'll just make sure that I pick a style. And there we go. So do exactly the same on this side. And again, I just select these, pick a style, and then match those. And then lastly, I could do something like add a shadow. Now this is very, very simple. So I just create a polyline. I can just trace the outline of my floor plan just here. Complete that. I'll remove the stroke. I'll set that to black and set it to something like 15%, maybe 10%. That just helps give it a little bit of a lift. And lastly, we could do something similar, with a patio area over here. So again, I'm just tracing my polyline. I set that with a texture. I'll say maybe there's some stone paving here. Maybe it's a bit lighter texture, correct layer. And there we go. So with that all set up and looking good, let's put it on a sheet. So you can see here that I have my model canvas, but I also have a paper canvas, and that's where I create my sheets. So I'll start by creating a page. So I'll set that as an A3 over here on the right hand side. I can set that as portrait or landscape. I'll go to my block library, and there are pre-built title sheets which work really, really well. So if I scroll down to title blocks and annotations, you can see one of them here. So I can just drag and drop that onto my sheet. I can fully customize those and make my own if I wanted to. I'll jump back to layers and set up a new view. So this is basically where I'm looking back at the model canvas, which is here. I can scale my view. I can set the scale here. Let's say it's 1:50, and then I can crop here and here, which you can see here. Brilliant. And then what do I do with that? So I can export a PDF. So to export a PDF, we just go to menu, export PDF, and I can do that. Here I can confirm the title, the format, so PDF or PNG if I wanted to, the image quality, and then the stroke scale. So depending on how you're viewing it, how those strokes are showing up. That's the kind of old-fashioned way. But the best way I found is to share this. So I can share this over here. So I could share this with my boss for them to review it. I could share this with a teammate or a collaborator. But the really great thing is to be able to share it as a presentation. So for a client, for example. So we'll just swipe this little toggle here, and that gives me an address, so a web URL, and I can give that to my client and they will be able to view this PDF. You can see that here if we open it. So there we go. So that's the perfectly looking PDF of that floor plan. The really, really powerful thing is that if I went in and I said, oh, actually, maybe my annotations look a bit strong and they want to be this similar greeny color, make that a bit more muted. When I go back into my paper canvas, I can go to share again, and you'll see this little update button. So that's if anything has been updated since that link was published. So I'll press update, and that will update that. It doesn't change the link, which is perfect because the client is only having to look at one place. But when I go back into it, just take a second to load, and you see that there. So it's been updated. Perfect. And that's it, from a space scan in iMapper to a fully designed and styled drawing set in Rayon Design. In this workflow, you can move from on-site measurement to professional documentation faster, more accurately, and completely cloud-based. Try it yourself using the free links below and see how much time you can save on your next project. Thanks so much for watching.